Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to stage 15 of the Tour de Beer, where we talk about a different beer every day of the Tour de France. I'm Uncle Frank from Team Beer Guts, where our motto is, it takes guts to ride and beer to recover. Welcome aboard and welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming back, and if it's your first time here, jump on the train and enjoy the ride. We're talking about beers every day with a quick recap about the race. And if that's the kind of stuff that you're into, I invite you to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so you don't forget or don't miss out when we record a new video, and join us. It's been really fun so far. It's been a great 2 weeks of reviewing different beers and a great 2 weeks of the Tour de France. Let me tell you, very exciting. One of the more exciting races that I remember since I've started watching. And I'm a newbie to watching the tour and understanding tactics and things like that. I've been on a bicycle like forever. Been tasting beers, yeah, pretty long time too. So let's talk about the race real quick before we get into today's beer. And yeah, I said I'm kind of a newbie, and sometimes there's things you don't fully understand. But what I do understand is racing is racing. And right now, these new guys who love to race, they're taking the old traditional rule book and throwing it out the window. So you have these guys who, like the commentators, like Chris Horner, who looks at a certain team and says, wow, they're a bunch of knuckleheads, and this is a terrible plan, and this is a terrible idea. Well, the last time he said that, he said it was a terrible idea for Deceuninck Quick-Step, and he goes, well, unless Mark Cavendish wins tomorrow, then this was a waste. Well, he did win tomorrow, so stick it, Horner. And guess what? You can stick it again, because right now Jumbo-Visma did everything perfect. You can go revisionist history and say if they didn't win the Tour today's stage, then it didn't work, but it did. Yeah, maybe you could drop back and protect the guy who's in second and trying to take over the yellow jersey, but the way I look at it, there are three possible outcomes. He cracks. Now you got to go back and save him, because you've got two leaders up in the lead group and these guys in the peloton. But the other two options are he stays exactly where he is, riding with the yellow jersey, doesn't put in time but doesn't lose time, or we don't think Tadej Pogacar is going to crack, but maybe he puts a little time in with a small attack. Two of those are positive. You don't play the what-if game for what might happen negative, and you've got two strong guys up front. Sepp Kuss, one of the best climbers we've seen in a while. Wout van Aert, the guy is so talented, you could give him a tricycle and he'll win a BMX race, okay? So it worked. And it worked to perfection. As they climbed, everybody else stayed here, and Sepp Kuss becomes the first American to win a stage of the Tour de France in 10 years. That's right. It was awesome to watch. Sitting with my brunch, enjoying the day, and that was fun to watch. Coming second behind him, Alejandro Valverde, the oldest guy in the race. So this has been a race where old guys are really doing well, too. Andre Greipel, old-time sprinter, he's been up there for some of those sprints. But watching Alejandro Valverde climb today, that was awesome. And screaming downhill to try and catch Sepp, and he's a great descender. Maybe he was going to be able to get him, but there just wasn't enough time. There was not enough road. This race belonged to Jumbo-Visma and Sepp Kuss. And also a really, really cool thing after was watching these two guys embrace after and talking about the race that they just finished. So just a lot of respect going on there between the tradition. Nairo Quintana, I thought this was a stage for him. Don't know what's going on. He attacked while he was up there, and then he dropped back. Then he attacked again. Then he suddenly dropped off. Maybe he cramped, maybe something. Then he got in the front again. So it's an old-time guy that I just want to see get a stage. But if it wasn't going to be Nairo, oh, it's got to be Sepp Kuss. So super happy about that. So for the beer, and I try to look at the stage and pick a beer of what we're going to talk about today, got a bit of a conundrum. Today they climbed the biggest mountain in this year's Tour de France. So the idea was, pick my biggest beer out of the fridge. A big, strong beer. Problem is, my biggest strong beer is A, about 14%, and B, it's 17-ounce bottle of that, and yeah, I could have that if it's the only beer I have today and just kind of snack my way through it. But a beer like this is really, it's meant to be shared. And I also have two bottles, two different vintages, 2016 and 2017. I want to compare them. I'm not going to open both and drink them myself. So I go back to the old adage of respect beer. So I'm going to respect those beers. They're staying in the fridge and they'll be shared at another time. That said, Sepp Kuss is the first American to win. He's from Texas. What about a Texas beer? I have some. No, I did. I had a 4-pack of a beer from Texas, an IPA, and I drank that with friends. I don't have any more. So, I do have pictures. If you want to see what beers I'm talking about, check out the Instagram. It is Team Beer Guts, Guts spelled with a Z, under spaces. You'll be able to find us. So what beer, what should I have? Well, let's go kind of big, kind of tradition, and also against tradition. Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous, a black IPA. Cascadian Dark Ale is what they tried to call it. It's a black IPA. I don't want to hear that, okay? That's what it is. And this beer, let's talk about Sepp Kuss. Nobody's won for 10 years, making a comeback. American Cycling. This beer, Comeback, originally was the 11th anniversary ale for Stone Brewing. Black IPA, and then it went away. Black IPAs kind of fell out of favor. They stopped. They re-released it. Then it went away again. They re-released it again. And I'm very excited about that because black IPA is one of my favorite styles. What is a black IPA? It's pretty much tied up in the name. Black should be dark, but not a stout and not a porter. IPA should have bitterness, should have hop flavor, should have hop aroma. How do you squeeze all of that into a dark beer? Use dark malts, but those dark malts aren't the major player, and they're not going to overcome. It shouldn't be as big and heavy as a stout. It shouldn't be as balanced as a porter. Maybe some of those chocolate notes are there, but the hops are there, and it's got to have it in the aroma. This beer, I'm just going to show you, but I'll tell you right away, I already know that it does. When I was brewing at a brew pub when I lived in Connecticut, we were doing black IPAs. This was one of the styles I wanted to do, and this is one of the beers that I wanted to mimic. I looked at this beer, and I studied this beer, and I tasted this beer, and I tried to make something like it. One of the best versions should have American hops as well. So think a lot of Cascade, Centennial, Columbus. And that is American hop aroma all the way. And you're like, how does it smell like an IPA? I can't even see through it. Yes, black IPA. We're going Cascadian Dark Ale, trying to take that West Coast name to it, using a lot of the Cascadian hops, Cascade in that Northwest area. But if you do some research on this beer, it first came out in New England. That's right, New England. I know a lot of people hate the New England IPA. If you really want to do that, here's your New England IPA. Here's your first one, really. And if you study all the way back, going through some beer history, hold on. So IPA was like pale ales or regular English IPA that they overhopped while it made the trip on old ships. Do you think they were only drinking pale ale? No, they were drinking dark beers as well, porters and stouts. I'm sure they overhopped those because hops were known as a preservative. So you have your overhopped porter or your overhopped stout. That's black IPA. Just like your overhopped English pale ales became regular English IPA that then turned into American IPA and so on and so forth. So yeah, you could throw hops into these dark beers. So this is actually a historical beer. As far as this beer itself goes, that is hops throughout. It plays in all three stages. Hop bitterness, hop flavor, hop aroma. Bitterness to balance the dark malts. Dark malts can lend some sweetness, not always, because you can have your black patent malt, which isn't really used all that much anymore, but you have really, really dark roasty malt. That's not sweet, and that can add some acidity and some astringency, but you need some other malts, chocolate and things like that are going to balance it and give it some sweetness. The hops balance that and then elevate. And they're coming through. Your hop flavor. Classic West Coast hop flavors in here. Piney, grapefruit, orange, a little bit of lemon peel. Yeah, that is flavor through and through. And super drinkable. And then it finishes dry. medium bodied, big aroma on this beer. And this beer is a little bit bigger because I did do the mountain, so I went a little bit on the big side. And I want to say this is 8.7%. So, Stone Brewing, who's been around for a while, Sublimely Self-Righteous Black IPA. I don't remember exactly when I picked this up. It's got to be recent because they just re-released it. If you can get your hands on some, you should. Because black IPAs are just one of these beers that are wonderful. I don't know why they keep fading out of favor, and then maybe they have to come back. But I love them. I'm lucky that I get to go to the Great American Beer Festival and be a judge. I request this category each year that I've judged because I like it, and I see the numbers go down, which is sad. I want to see more people doing this beer. I just think it's great. So this video is a little bit longer than the others, but I really felt I had to get that point out. Also very excited that we have an American that won a stage of the Tour de France. And this beer is so complex, it takes a little bit longer to talk about. So hopefully you're still there. And if you are, I thank you for that. And yeah, pick up some black IPA. And again, real quick point. It's not porter, it's not stout. You shouldn't have roasted. You shouldn't have burnt. You shouldn't have caramel. Maybe a spicy brownie or something to that effect. I don't know. But the hops are the dominant player here. So if you like IPA and you like dark beers, you need to be able to pick up some of this. So until then, once again, be good to yourself, be good to others, and drink good beer. And we will see you on the rest day tomorrow. Cheers. Man, I really like this beer.